retro gamers, how do you do? Today we're taking a look at Colin Mcrae Rally 04 for the Xbox. This was released in 2003 by Codemasters, not only making it my first Xbox review, but probably the newest retro game I've reviewed yet. This is following on from my WRC arcade video from a few reviews back. Although that was more of an arcade rally racer compared to this being a simulation game, it's cool to see the other end of the spectrum. Originally I was going to review the Warriors on PS2, but I ran into some technical difficulties.
This side of Coney Island is all Warriors turf. The east side ain't, but we'll get into that later.
The main grunt of this is the championship mode, where you hook yourself up with a car and race stages all over the world. While in WRC Arcade I got to race in my own car, sorta. In this game I get to race in what has been my dream car since I was 10 years old, the 2003 Subaru Impreza WRX. What a beast. One day I'll own you. One day. Again, while in WRC Arcade you are flat out racing other cars, this is all based on how fast you can get through a stage, much like in a time trials mode. You're given points accordingly, which add up to your overall score between races, very much like in real life rally. The stages are incredibly varied and detailed, but I'll get to that later. What I liked the most was the fact that they were Western Australian stages. My home state, homies. Unfortunately there is no rally here anymore due to a stupid ass government, but I bitched enough about that in the WRC Arcade Rally review. But seriously, screw them. I'll take this chance to throw in their D-bags and then continue on the review. Yeah. Some of the stages quite look as they do in real life, like the Katanning stage. I've been there. Lots of big rocks. Basically how I remember it. Other stages? Laughably not though. For example, there is a special stage where you race around a track as opposed to through the wilderness somewhere. This particular stage is set in New York, which is a country town maybe an hour and a half away from the city. The problem is though, in this version there were skyscrapers just over the hill. Like I said, it's a country town. This is what it really looks like. So yeah, they really dropped the ball on that one, but otherwise I have my official Western Australia seal of approval, which is quite sought after, you know. There are a few other cool things thrown into the championship mode to stir things up, like these stages where you test new hardware through mini-games. Pass the mini-games and you get free shit. They are totally optional, but are well worth attempting. The free shit really makes a difference. Not like the handling of the cars needs any improvement though, they're just plainly grand to drive. They're incredibly well balanced, the weight feels absolutely perfect. There is just enough to build up a good amount of momentum as you slide all over the place. Over that, the Xbox controller feels perfect for this type of game. I never had an Xbox when I was younger, but now I have a newfound appreciation for its controller. That, and the damage models are quite realistic for the time. I have no problem comparing this to what it's like in Grand Theft Auto 4 even, which blew my mind at the time, but this game supersedes that by about 5 years. It also transfers the damage from stage to stage, like it would in real life too. I remember seeing a small crash while I was watching the real local Rally Australia years ago, and the occupants had to get out and basically fix the damage themselves. I can't remember exactly what they did, but I remember the co-driver rummaging around in the bush for a stick. Who knows what he did with that stick, but it fixed the vehicle nonetheless. You can fix them in between stages if you want, but you're only given the equivalent of 60 minutes to do so. If you run out of time, it then eats into your overall time, which will affect your placement, which is bad. Try not to crash too much. Luckily though, you have a helpful co-driver who gives you wise advice as to what sorts of turns and obstacles are coming up. I'd listen to him. That guy is a machine, pumping out all sorts of nuggets of helpful information. Remember, you can fix a car with a stick, don't fudge and mess with him. The only thing I could fold is that damn itch I always get when I'm knee deep in concentration somewhere on my body. There will always be an itch. Ah, so much itch. Codemasters really need to sort out that problem. It's in all their games. All this footage is from the 4-wheel drive class of cars, but you can play them as 2-wheel drive as well as some special modes. Group B has you racing in all these awesome 80s vehicles, while there are also some unlockable cars, like this van. They all feel different though, and if you mix that in with the sheer volume of tracks that are available, you're guaranteed a lot of replayability. Looking into my case, I find that everything is complete, which is cool because it's sort of like looking into a time capsule. The instruction manual actually has someone's phone number on it, oddly. I was quite tempted to call them up and tell them what a douche they were for giving away such a cool game, but that would mean less Colin Mcrae time on average for me. Behind that is a showcase pamphlet for Codemasters showcasing their games in 2002 and 2003, showing such gems as Colin Mcrae 3. Lastly, behind that is a piece of paper asking you to register on the Codemasters website by bribing you with free cars to unlock. Luckily for me though, they can be unlocked through Play, as I assume this would be using the since disconnected Xbox Live service to do so. Since there are a lot of tracks, there are plenty of varied environments. These look downright gorgeous, very much like yourself, faithful retro game reviewer. There is plenty of detail crammed in to keep your eyeballs happy, which mixes in well with how different each environment is. Whether you're sliding over ice in Sweden or racing in between hedges on crammed roads in the UK, nothing looks the same. Apart from the Fudge Up, which is the York stage, I'm quite confident with how everything looks. Although I haven't been to many of these places, I could be completely wrong, but the atmosphere feels right. It's at this point I'll give a half-assed opinion on the sound design, since I'm not traditionally well educated on sounds, apart from whether I like them or not, but for this game there really isn't much to say. There is above average music on the title screens, which are darn sexy by the way, but there is no music as you actually drive. Apart from that, the sound effects sound realistic, which is what I guess is what you'd want.
Now, I don't know if this game's easy or if I'm just damn good at rally games, but I found it quite easy to quickly progress through this game. Having said that though, there is a huge difficulty spike around the Swedish stages and beyond, so keep on your toes for that. Otherwise, I highly recommend this game. It's not Need for Speed, man. It's rally simulation. My copy cost $6, but from what I can tell, it's just about everywhere. It was also released on the PS2 and the PC. As I said though, it's great with the Xbox controller. I don't think the PS2s could compete, and I'm a self-proclaimed Sony fanboy, so yeah, take that as you will. Otherwise, this game is pure fun. You'll sit down and you'll play it for hours, guaranteed.
Thank you so much for watching, and here's that part of the video where I talk again. You'll see many links on this page and it may be overwhelming, so let me talk you through it. First off, if you want to stay updated with new content, may I please recommend that you subscribe. Just click that big old subscribe button and it will happen, like magic. You never know, you could make an Australian somewhere very happy. I usually release a video about once a week. Otherwise there is a Facebook page too, which is cool, the link to that is in the description, as well as a link to my blog, which is also very cool, plus some links to previous reviews, which are of course pretty cool too. But thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.